Hello guys, this is Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. In this very important episode about Ethereum, we're going to cover the state of Ethereum 2.0. And as you can see, I've got my shirt on, we're ready to rock. So let's get into this. There was a very important document released, which is what you're looking at right here, just today. And it's written by Matt Slipper and Dan Sui of Kyokin. Kyokin is a blockchain native software consultancy based in the Bay Area. All right, now, before we dive into the deep end, I'm going to give you a high-level overview. So if you just have like 2 minutes of your time, then just watch this 2 minutes and you'll get an idea of what we're talking about here. Some takeaways. Ethereum 2.0 has no lead, no person in charge orchestrating the rollout of Ethereum 2.0, and it could benefit from one. Ethereum 2.0 implementation has been stalled by the specification constantly changing underneath the implementers, those guys who are making the software. Specification is almost completely changed from the middle of last year. Research people are not communicating much on expected timeframes, so there is a lot of misleading info and speculation being passed around from people outside research and development. Implementers are concerned about funding. The rate of change in the specification has discouraged implementation work. Research has started to version segments of the specification to provide further clarity on what's ready and what they expect to change. Ethereum 2.0 won't be transformational for smart contracts until phase 0, 1, and 2 are complete and cross-shard contract communication is live. That last one's extremely important. And I want to preface this entire video with this is not FUD. I am not trying to smear any bad news. I'm trying to get you guys the facts on the real state of Ethereum as it exists today without any weird bias or anything like that. And to prove that, my holdings right now, as the time of recording this video, my largest holding is Ethereum. I have 40% of my entire portfolio is in Ethereum, and I have no other coin that is more than that. I am in the process right as of this moment of selling 40% of my Ethereum for EOS. And I'm just telling you that upfront so that I have complete transparency. Okay, guys, so that's the TLDR of this news. That's what I'm doing about it. Okay, so now that we covered the high-level overview, let's get into the details. What is this all about? What is happening? This document is very detailed and well-written, and props to them for covering it in such an unbiased way. It looks like they were really trying to be honest and real about this without any sugarcoating on the top. And I wanted to just add a little note here that I'm going to be reading a lot of text from this article, and then I'll be periodically adding my own interpretation and opinion of what I'm reading and how I think that is important or not important. And I made this easier for myself and for you guys by highlighting the text in the color. I put green if it's a positive piece of news for Ethereum, and I put it in red color if it's a negative piece of news. And I put it in a neutral yellow-orange color if it's just neutral news. So as you can see, it's called the State of Ethereum 2.0. And here's the summary. So a good piece of information is that research and development of Ethereum 2.0 continues at a rapid pace, with a test net of the beacon chain scheduled for release in March of this year. That's awesome. That's in 1 month from now, right? However, a number of coordination problems are slowing implementation, and the public's view of what will be delivered and when differs from reality. So there's a bit of a skew of reality, a perception of Ethereum. People think that it's happening, I think, faster than it actually is. And that's what this document is serving to inform in the public. So as an overview here, so Ethereum 2.0 refers to a set of specifications that will dramatically improve the performance characteristics of the Ethereum blockchain. As of this writing, it does so by merging and improving upon research from two older specifications: Casper, which introduces a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism, and Sharding, which introduces the splitting of transactions across a number of shards secured by the main chain. So if you've been around for a number of years, as I have, you've been waiting for Casper and Sharding for many years now. I have been waiting since like 2015 for the day where we hit proof-of-stake, which is Casper, and the ability for super high transactional throughput, which is Sharding. And that's what we're getting into. That's what Ethereum 2.0 comprises, if you haven't been paying attention. And so this is a very sought after and needed development to keep up, to be competitive with the other blockchains out there, because we have things like EOS, Cardano, Tron, etc. Even Elastos is out there. All of these are competing to be that blockchain 3.0 platform. So I would take Bitcoin as blockchain 1.0, Ethereum as blockchain 2.0, and high transactional proof of stake platforms with smart contracts as a blockchain 3.0. And so Ethereum 2.0 is really striving to be that third gen blockchain. Implementation teams are committed, but funding is a concern. I guess I should make that actually green because that's a good thing. The implementation teams care deeply about shipping Ethereum 2.0 and are willing to weather the frustrations and problems that crop up along the way. Specifically, we have received answers such as, we'd be dead before giving up, and this is going to happen no matter what. So their words are very passionate, but what's the reality? Well, it says that if the Ethereum Foundation funding dries up, then there is a possibility that teams will be forced to find other work. So funding is a legitimate concern here. And when we have something that, as you're going to see, is going to look like it's going to take several years to fully roll out, that's a big factor. And it says the specification has entirely changed since the middle of last year. So not only are we not close, but the specification changed almost entirely just half a year ago. Some teams have inter-node interoperability as the specific goal of the testnet launch, while others do not. As a result, it is difficult to say with clarity what the actual deliverable in March will consist of. So there's uncertainty around even the testnet that's supposed to be launched in 1 month from now in March. So again, that's not inspiring a lot of confidence. And I'm saying this again from someone who holds a lion's share of Ethereum in his account. But by the time you see this video, it is no longer going to be the lion's share. And that's for all the reasons in the red text that I'm reading to you today. I very much wanted Ethereum to be that next gen blockchain, but it looks like it's happening too slow. And that's unfortunate, but I'm not going to be emotional about it. I'm not going to stay invested in something that looks like it's going to be slow to the punch. I'm going to rationally look at my options and diversify some of my Ethereum holdings into what I consider to be a superior choice, which at this moment looks to me to be EOS. And you can do whatever you want. That's just what I'm doing with my personal funds, my crypto. Things become increasingly hazy past the testnet, so they don't even know what's going to happen beyond March. None of the teams were able to estimate when phase 2 is, that is the complete Ethereum 2.0 specification, including cross-shard operations and the Ethereum virtual machine. So we need the EVM to get smart contracts, and we need cross-shard as well to work with that in conjunction. And no one even knows when that will be ready. So again, another red flag. It is likely that implementation teams will need additional funding to complete the specification. Again, we have a funding issue, we have a lack of foresight issue, etc. So let's move on. From an organizational perspective, no single person is responsible or accountable for making sure that Ethereum 2.0 lands in a way that matters to the Ethereum community at large. Danny Ryan fills part of this role. He took it upon himself to be the liaison between the implementation and research teams, and his efforts are highly appreciated. So there's the debate of, should development on Ethereum be decentralized? Well, as we're seeing here, it is sort of decentralized because there is no one person in charge, but the downside of that is that no one person's in charge, so it's not coordinated. And the result is that it's not being done in an efficient manner, and a lot of uncertainty surrounds the entire subject. So we have this fellow, Danny Ryan, who is kind of taking that role under his wings. And it says, access to Danny isn't consistent across implementation teams. However, some expressed that they wish that they would have more access to him. So he's sort of becoming the lead role in this otherwise decentralized project. And I think it's kind of showing that to make such a huge change to a platform, you need someone who's guiding those reins. All the different fragmented communities aren't able to coordinate without a person leading the role. So Danny hopefully will take those reins over. And just so you know, guys, I'm really hopeful that Ethereum does radically get things in order and gets this platform shipped, Ethereum 2.0, out and done as soon as possible. But to be honest, I don't see it happening. I've been holding on to hope for a couple years now. And when I saw this article today, it just snapped something in my mind. I went, you know what? This is not looking good. I need to make a decision right now before the masses do, because I don't want to be late on the train to make an adjustment to my portfolio based on what I'm seeing here. So hopefully you guys are among the first to see this, and you can make your own rational decision. Just look at it analytically, go out, have a nice walk. Don't jump to any rash decisions, okay? But for me, it was kind of the nail in the coffin of what I've already been worried about for so long. And I've been siphoning ETH funds into EOS every time I get more bad news about Ethereum's development. And so here we are, a big nail in the coffin for me. I still hold a significant amount of Ethereum, but it's going to be way less, as you can see, from the 40% that I held at the time of recording this video down to much less. And I'll put a picture right now of what my current holdings are at the time of recording this video. So check this out. Here's my holdings. And here's my holdings after recording the video. And I will put the screenshot here. So as you can see, my Ethereum holdings have dropped dramatically and my EOS holdings have climbed in response. Okay, so let's get back into this. Some more important facts. It says the tools and contracts we've written for Ethereum 1.0 will likely need to be completely redesigned and rewritten for Ethereum 2.0. So again, a lot of manpower, hours, and coding to migrate to the 2.0 platform. And it says, we don't know what to expect from phase 2. It's still in the very early stages of research and includes several major unsolved problems. Again, not too inspiring. And again, if you are wondering what those phases were, let's take a look at them. So we have phase 0, the beacon chain. Phase 1, shards without the EVM. So there's going to be no smart contract capability, at least cross shard on phase 1. And then on phase 2, finally, we have the EVM working in conjunction with shards and cross shard communication. So you'd only be able to run smart contracts within the same shard and interacting with other things on that shard in phase 1. So that's a very far cry from a complete protocol. Phase 2 is what Ethereum needs for the full rollout of Ethereum 2.0. But how long is that going to take? Well, let's continue. It doesn't seem reasonable to suggest that phase 2 could launch before 2020, which is to say, while Ethereum 2.0 may launch this year, don't expect Ethereum 2.0 to support asset transfer or smart contracts until at least 2020. At least 2020. And again, that's where I go, let's take a look at these other blockchains out right now. I mean, they're doing what Ethereum's trying to do after 2020 now. They're doing it today. EOS has all this functionality today. And Cardano, at this point, might beat Ethereum. It's going to be a tight race. So just look with unbiased eyes. That's my recommendation. It also says we have very little information about ETH 2.0's communication model. We know that it can't provide cross-shard contract calls without sacrificing almost all scaling benefits. Ethereum 2.0 will not provide significant scaling benefits to complex smart contract systems until phase 4. Until then, contracts wishing to interact with other contracts must cohabitate a shard and are limited to the speed and scale of that shard. If nobody from the research or implementation teams provides additional context around when Ethereum 2.0 will be ready and what it will look like when it is, it will be difficult for correct expectations to be set and lived up to. All right, guys, so I don't know what you think, but to me, that's very worrying in a realistic way. I don't want to be misled, and I really appreciate this post being made. So now let's look at the two viewpoints of this. There's the public at large perception of Ethereum 2.0, and then there's the actuality. So in green here is the public perception of Ethereum 2.0. Currently, the narrative around when Ethereum 2.0 will be delivered and what it will look like is somewhat like this. Ethereum 2.0 is coming and will be ready for public use soon. Ethereum 2.0 will be on testnet starting in March. Ethereum 2.0 will solve the majority of Ethereum's scalability concerns. That sounds great. And that's the current public perception. That was my perception as well. And when I read this, it was like, what? We are nowhere near that perception. So now, in red text, given what we know after talking to both the research team and the implementation teams, it's clear that delivery of an Ethereum 2.0 implementation with real utility to dApp developers is not feasible for at least another year and a half. For developers to derive the same level of utility from Ethereum 2.0 as they did on Ethereum 1, Phase 2 must be delivered. Furthermore, for the later phases of Ethereum 2.0's rollout, it is possible that new research will invalidate or otherwise reshape the roadmap profoundly. It is unclear to us whether or not the Ethereum community at large is aware of this. A gap between what the community expects and what is actually delivered could hurt implementation efforts substantially by reinforcing the narrative that Ethereum will not be able to scale and cause new developers to begin exploring other blockchains. I'm exploring other blockchains right now. And it says many of the frustrations around Ethereum 2.0 stem from a lack of coordination between the research and implementation teams. Again, hence the need for a lead role connecting and guiding everything like an organization would. It's lacking that leadership role. So ironically, the centralization of development is becoming the Achilles heel of Ethereum 2.0. Okay, guys, so I just wanted to share that with you. Make of that what you will. You know, I want to keep you informed. Like I said, take a walk, sleep on it, look at the facts in front of you and do what you need to do to make sure that you come out all right. I hope this was helpful. Again, I am not trying to spread FUD. I'm trying to look at this as a real investor making real decisions with the real facts. So anyways, guys, have a great day. I hope you found this useful. Please like, please share, please subscribe. Take care, and I'll talk to you again soon.